Yeah. So I am very, very excited about our guest, who is somebody I have known for quite some time. He is been involved with financial advice and financial management for some pretty important people for I think, close to 4 decades. He might correct me. He's also owned a market research company for 3 decades that is called On Target Research. So he not only he understands financial management and financial intel, but he also understands market research, and I think that's real important. And on top of that, he's a best-selling author, and he's written quite a few books. So without further ado, I want to thank and introduce you guys to Bruce Wiseman. He also, as an author, goes by the pen name John Truman Wolfe. So if you want to get some great financial books, you look for John Truman Wolfe, and that's Bruce's pen name. Hey, Bruce, how are you doing? Thanks for attending our little affair here.
Good, Bob. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, crystal clear. We can hear you quite well. Quite well.
Okay, super. Well, hi, everybody. Delighted you're here. Gee, I see we've got a great group of folks.
It's getting bigger and bigger, isn't it, Bruce? They're just piling
in. Still growing. Anyway, thanks for joining us. I'm going to cover two main subjects in this my part of the webinar here. But first, I want to just touch on some basics. I know there are a number of people here who have that are familiar with the cryptocurrency universe. But I also know that there are some that are not familiar with the basics at all. So let me just reiterate one point that Bob made made last week and kind of touched on just a moment ago, is this in terms of investing. This is a new world. I've never seen anything like it. I've been involved in finance and investing and money all the way back to the 70s. When I was a banker in the San Francisco Bay Area. And this is a new world, folks. This is something that's never happened before. The never happened before is the fact that there are currencies trading in a way that are not governed by, they're decentralized is the word, and they're not governed by governments or banks or what have you. And so it's risky, it's volatile. You have an opportunity to make some really serious money, but don't invest money you can't afford to lose. This is home run money. This is money, ideally, that you hit it out of the park. But again, as Bob pointed out there in the introductory remarks, and you saw the graph, and if you've been following this world, Bitcoin, just to give an example of the volatility, but Bitcoin was up almost to $20,000 about a week ago, and then crashed down to 13,600, right in there, a huge dip, and then recovered, and has recovered not all of the ground. The last time I looked, it was 16 and change, but it moves very, very quickly. I'm just trying to make the point that this is a volatile world. So this is not like sticking money in your savings account in the bank. This is the Wild West.
You know, Bruce, I've noticed, Bruce, that it seems with this particular industry more than any I've seen that you'll have a coin that creeps along, and it almost seems like you're getting people buying and accumulating, buying. It's the people that are the insiders, and they start accumulating, and then it looks like it hits a critical mass, and then all of a sudden the trading starts jetting up a little bit. Is that what you see? Or, I mean, that seems to be, from the naked eye, that seems to be what happens.
Yeah, those formations, and you were talking about those hockey stick graphs, those formations seem to be very, very prevalent in the cryptocurrency world. And you've got, coins being introduced, and they're traded, and they're being accumulated by insiders, and then they ramp up. Yeah, that is typical of this investment sector.
And what kind of currencies are? I know, Bruce, you've been looking into the different types of currencies, and sometimes people get confused. What's this? What's that? It looks like you've identified several different types of currencies that people should be aware of.
I have. Let me. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to just for the newbies on board here. Let me touch on just some very, very basic stuff in cryptocurrencies, and then I want to do exactly what you said there and go over the different kinds of cryptocurrencies, because not every one of these. I mean, you've got on your screen there a list of cryptocurrencies. What you can't see, I mean, you can go to that website and get a look at it, but what you can't see is on the screen there. We've got the top 10, but there are about 1,000 cryptocurrencies. And so I'm going to, again, touch on some basics and then talk about the differences in the different kinds of these currencies. And I'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. For those of you that are super new, just to define, cryptocurrencies are basically, it's electronic money. These are digital or virtual currencies. They're called cryptocurrencies because they're secured using cryptography. Most of them, almost all of them, not all of them, but most of them. And the term cryptocurrencies gets used to cover essentially all 1,000 of these coins, but in fact, not all of them by far are actual cryptocurrencies. So what are the key elements of this universe? One are the currencies themselves. As you can see on your screen, there's a list. Bob's got the first 100 of them up there now. And you can go to this site and take a look at these things. I think the top 15 have market caps of in excess of 2 billion. I haven't looked at this graph in a couple of days.
No, you're right on the mark, Bruce. It's Bitcoin's by itself is a quarter $1 trillion.
Right. And then you go down, you can see that these and when we say market cap, just so there aren't any words that I don't understand, that means the amount of money that has been invested in buying these coins. You can see that on the third column there. And the first column is the name of the coin. Then there's the price. Then there is the market cap, how much money is in there. And last time I looked, it was the total was over $500 billion, or was about $500 billion. And that's the total market cap of all of these currencies. And as you can see, Bitcoin represents about half of that. And the number 2 currency has got 71 billion Ethereum. And you can study this this graph and the list of these coins. It's a great it's a great asset to have. So one, in this world, you have the coins. These are digital currencies that are decentralized, meaning there's no government control, there's no bank control. And this is peer-to-peer, person-to-person, basically, exchange. This is what the founder of Bitcoin and the technology that makes the transfer of Bitcoin available, a guy named, well, I say a guy, yes, nobody knows who this was. He goes by the entity goes by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Who wrote a white paper on the subject of Bitcoin and the technology that enables it to be transferred, called blockchain. So number one, you've got the currencies. Number two, you've got exchanges. Exchanges are like stock brokerage houses. You know, if any of you have stocks, you know, you want to buy some General Motors while you tell your broker to buy it. The cryptocurrency exchanges are where you buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Here is a site. Again, this entire presentation will be available on Digital Frontier News, so you don't have to worry about scribbling notes real fast, because you'll be able to access this. But this is one particular site that lists the top 40 exchanges, and there are different abilities that these things have, and there are different aspects of, when you go in, some of them won't even take American depositors. Some of these exchanges won't let you invest money. You just have to have Bitcoin to invest. As you can see there, this site ranks those exchanges. You can see AA plus, and then they have a numerical rating on the side. I am familiar personally with Coinbase, which is number 2 there. Kraken, I don't know if Kraken's on there, Bob, somewhere. I'm sure it is. CEXIO, I'm familiar with. I've had dealings with. And Gemini. But you kind of have to get your own feet wet. Go explore them. You can use this site. This gives some information. So this is this is element number 2 of the crypto universe. In that, 1, there's coins. 2, there are places to buy and sell coins. The third element is wallets. There are wallets where you store the coins. There's a list of wallets that will shoot up here in a minute, I think. There are different kinds of wallets. They do different things. I'm not going to try to explain all of the technology of the wallets. You can go to the site and read up on wallets and which one you like. This particular site is recommending Exodus. And I think Bob has told me he's going to have an expert on wallets do a webinar in the not too distant future. So stay tuned for that. And the final point, or the final element that makes all of this possible, is a technology called blockchain, which is a decentralized ledger that keeps track of, validates and keeps track of all of the transactions of the currencies. And while Bitcoin gets a lot of the press, the blockchain, which is again the technology that facilitates not only the trading of coins, but other things, contracts and other things, is really kind of, at least at this point, the hero of the piece. Now, that said, with that little review of the 4 key elements, which are the currencies, the exchanges, the wallets, and the blockchain itself, those elements make up the crypto universe. I'm sure there are people that could add elements, but those are the key 4 elements of the cryptocurrency universe. Now, Bob had mentioned that I was going to talk about the different kinds of coins and distinguish the different kinds of coins, and I want to do that because, as I said, not every one of those coins is a cryptocurrency. By currency, we mean something that can be used to, as a medium of exchange. You can buy things. I mean, Bitcoin, there are actually 100,000 vendors on the planet that accept Bitcoin. That is not true for a lot of those coins, but in that sense, clearly, Bitcoin is a currency. It's something that can be used to purchase something. Now, it's also an asset because it gets more valuable and less valuable. Not different, really, than if you were to buy Swiss francs or Japanese yen or Chinese yuan, because the value of those currencies increase and decrease, but nothing at the speed with which these currencies trade. So the first kind of coin is a currency coin, of which Bitcoin, of course, is the leader. But there are other coins that follow how Bitcoin operates. They do a little bit of tweaking and then come out with their own brand.
Is that like Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum, Bruce?
No, those are essentially called alternative coins. The other actual currency coins, probably the best known is called Litecoin, Lite coin, Litecoin. There's also Namecoin, there's Peercoin, Dogecoin. These are actual currencies, and seek to become widely used currencies. Now, there are other coins that are called altcoins. The difference between a cryptocurrency and an altcoin is that the cryptocurrencies operate on the blockchain, the technology that permits the transfer of these kinds of digital assets. But the altcoins operate on their own blockchain. They have a different blockchain. So coins that, as Bob was mentioning, Ethereum and Ripple, which Bob mentioned last week and has gone up dramatically. Ripple, when I first looked at Ripple, which was a few months ago, I couldn't date it exactly, but it was 15 cents, 15, 16 cents. Ripple today is trading at, well, there it is right on the screen, $1.44. The difference between these, what are called alternative coins, altcoins, is that they operate on their own blockchain, their own software, and are bought and sold in that manner. Meaning they use that technology to trade back and forth as opposed to using the Bitcoin blockchain. It's just, how can I make this simple? It's just a different technology. They have they develop their own blockchain or their own way to transfer, to buy and sell the coins. So those are altcoins. First are currency coins that are money. The second are coins that use a lot of the technology that was developed with Bitcoin, but have their own transfer medium, their own blockchain. And the third element, or the third kind of coin, are basically called tokens. And tokens are basically used for utility purposes, meaning that those coins represent something. Banks are using tokens to transfer data now instead of actually doing the token itself.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'll read you.
Unbelievable.
I'll quote you something here. Tokens are a representation of a particular asset or utility that usually resides on top of another blockchain. I don't want to get too technical here, but these tokens are more, you can think of them more like stock, and they usually come from what are called initial coin offerings. There's some company that wants to develop a token to help banks do XYZ. So they raise money, people pay them money or invest money, and in return, they get tokens. And those tokens go up in value depending on how effective that company is in developing whatever it is they're developing. There's the European banks, Swiss banks and others, are using a new token to transfers that are much faster and more efficient than how banks have traditionally transferred money and assets.
Are people trying to buy tokens as well? Is that a marketplace? Tokens?
Yes,
okay.
It is a market because it's like stock.
Right.
So they go up. It's more like you're investing in the company as opposed to in the coin.
Okay.
But yes, they do go up. Here's an article on a token being used in Europe, and I'm quoting now. An example of this would be UBS. UBS's new digital currency. UBS stands for United Bank of Switzerland. They're a huge Swiss bank. An example of this would be UBS's new digital currency, the utility settlement coin, which is set to launch next year for clearing and settlement of financial transactions. I'm not going to read the whole thing here. There's several paragraphs on
Well, I
how
think
it is.
it tells us, Bruce, that as I just, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, there's so much information out here right now. People have really got to be on top of this. I mean, they've really, and it's, I talk to so many people about just this world, and they're getting up to speed on what a Bitcoin is, but there's 99% more information in there.
Well, it's a whole new universe that's exploding in front of our eyes. I mean, it's just exploding. And the technology that facilitated decentralized communication called the blockchain has opened up all kinds of doors, not only the buying and selling of digital currencies, but other business as well.
Well,
so,
I know
yes.
I've only got you on for a couple more minutes because I know you're a pretty busy guy. Tell me about this. You got a little secret, don't you? There's another currency, or there's another something that's about to hit, or maybe it's already hit.
The other something is this. It's called Hashgraph. Remember that word, folks. Hashgraph. Some of you may be familiar with Hashgraph. It has just hit the scenes recently. What is Hashgraph? Hashgraph is a technology that facilitates the transfer of currencies and other business documents much, much, much faster than the blockchain. There have been for months complaints about the blockchain because there have been so many transfers, buying and selling of coins, that blockchain has been bogged down.
Well, slowing down. Yeah, absolutely.
And the technology of blockchain is such that it can process 7 transactions a minute. Oh, no, a second, excuse me. A second, whereas Hashgraph can process 250,000 transactions per second. So Hashgraph is basically a competitor and replacement to blockchain. It is much, much faster. It has better security. It's more efficient. And this is the coming technology of transferring digital currency and so forth. It is just, this is an underlying technology that permits the transfer of currencies and so forth. But, and here's the news, there is going to be a Hashgraph coin. It isn't released yet. It's coming soon. So like blockchain has Bitcoin, Hashgraph will have a coin.
Well, let me alert everybody here. There are some people who are part of our DEIR crash training, and you know who you are. And as soon as we hear about this launch, this IPO or ICO, guess what you're going to get? You're going to get that instant alert. So, Bruce, you got to let us know exactly when you hear this.
We're staying tuned. Stay tuned. This is really kind of the forward-looking information from this webinar. Hashgraph. I mean, if you are interested in getting involved in more information, Bob will talk to you about that in terms of how we're going to be helping educate folks. But you can look up Hashgraph on the go to Google or Bing, look up Hashgraph, see the difference between Hashgraph and blockchain, and then the key information here is that there will be a Hashgraph coin, like Bitcoin was for blockchain, Hashgraph is going to have a coin. So
now, one other thing, Bruce, I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot. We know that there's going to be there always is a second wave or a second generation in any brand new business. I mean, that's just the way it is. And we believe, because of how much energy it requires to run a blockchain. I don't know if you all understand this or know about this. The number one miners, the people who actually produce Bitcoins, they're located in Iceland. Why? Because Iceland's really cold, and it's got the world's cheapest energy. So the big issue for Bitcoin is the amount of energy it takes to generate the coins and the speed, as Bruce has said, on terms of transfer. Bruce and I
And
are,
here's,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to
I was
cut you
just
off.
going
Here's the
to
point.
say, companies like Hashgraph, like Cloudcoin, that are working on these fast transfers, they're the ones I think they're going to win. Wouldn't you say that?
Well, I would definitely say that. And also, here's the key point, and to repeat what Bob said, these miners that have to validate the transfer of Bitcoin have to use so much computing power. Again, to repeat what Bob said, some of them are in Iceland because they have, I've seen pictures of these places. They have, rows of computers the size of football fields because it takes that much computing power to validate a transfer of a Bitcoin. Get this, Hashgraph has no miners. They have
Exactly.
none.
Right.
So instead of 7 transactions a second, 250,000 transactions a second, and the future of digital currencies, at least from what I can see at this point, is Hashgraph. That said, we'll keep you posted on when the Hashgraph coin emerges. And with that, Bob, I think I'll pass it back to you.
Very good. That's fantastic, man.